their life.
ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive. Brought to you by Huntington Federal Savings Bank. Local then, local now. Member FDIC.
It is Monday, November 18th. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. We're coming to you today from the Union Pub and Grill. And you can join us anytime on Mondays to take advantage of the Monday special. $2 call shots at $1.50 domestic bottles every Monday here at the Union Pub and Grill. Our phone lines this hour brought to you by Miller Lite, 877-420-TALK. That's 877-420-8255. Miller Lite, hold true, great taste, only 96 calories. It is the original light beer. Of course, it's Monday. That means, Dave Walsh is with me. I'm stuck with this guy again. Hi.
Sorry.
How are you?
I'll tell you one thing. It's a busy day.
For you or me?
You.
Oh, yeah. I didn't see
fell
you
into
anywhere.
one. I know.
Where were you today? We had a lot of things to talk about today.
I know. I've been doing my show prep.
Okay, as long as you've been prepping for this. I'm at player interviews earlier today, and then I'm heading over to Fat Patty's and selection
Quite a
show.
contingent there.
That was great. I hate to say this, but soccer has become a thing here in Huntington. It's a soccer town now.
You like this? You like that?
I'm on. I guess I'm on board. I'm on board.
I tell you what, Chris has done quite a job. 2 years ago, they were under 500. Now they're 11th seed in the tournament. It's quite a job turned in by him and his players.
Okay, so I'm on board now.
Yeah.
I'm in for a penny,
no
in for a
choice.
pound. Yeah. Well, no, I got a choice here.
Yeah.
I'm just on board because, well, you look at Marshall. They win the Conference USA Championship regular season title, and then they win the conference tournament in double overtime.
Right.
And they win on a set piece, of all things. It looked great.
Yeah.
I'm watching that thing, and it's going to single, it's going to double overtime. And, Charlotte, they've been here before. Yeah. And they lost it before, and they've lost it again, thankfully for the Herd.
That corner kick, sent it across. They got the header, and it looked like the goalie may have slightly mishandled it. It's in the net, and next thing you know, hey, party hardy Marty. They're back here in Huntington waiting to see the selection show today.
Yep, so the selection show was today, and, of course, there was a nice gathering at Fat Patty's for the selection show. And Marshall, the 11 seed, so they get to host the first-round game.
That's not bad for your first time in.
Well, okay, let me rephrase that. They get a first-round bye.
Right.
They get the host on Sunday.
Right.
And so as an 11 seed, they will face off against the winner of Butler, which is receiving votes. Marshall's faced them before the season, and West Virginia.
Imagine that, the NCAA putting them together again. Kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's not at all, because I contend somebody in the NCAA selection committees have sat there and gone, they're not playing in the regular season,
we'll
and they're
fix
close
that.
by. Let's just go ahead and make that happen.
This one here, what? They can't say no. They can't say no this time.
I didn't realize they hadn't played in so long.
I didn't either. There's some sports they play in, some they don't. Soccer seems to be one of them. I don't know what the deal is.
Well, I can understand a few years ago where the facility wasn't that good.
Right, but now you got it pretty good.
Yeah, the facility is really good now, so I can understand.
The NCAA thought it was good enough to bring them here for hosting a game.
Yeah, well,
so that speaks volumes right there.
Well, not only do you win your conference in the regular season, you win your tournament, and RPI, you were pretty high. You were ranked 13th. You moved up a little bit in the RPI. Some teams ahead of you lost in conference tournaments, so that helps you out a little bit. I thought for the most part they were going to host. I didn't know how high they would be. 11's pretty solid. First time, 11. That's solid.
I mean, your first time in, boom. And what's funny is they take all season to win the conference. Your reward, go win the conference again in 3 days, Friday and Sunday. You get to turn right around, play the same people again, and hey, they beat them. Charlotte, they tied, they beat them. Kentucky, 2-pair 1-0 wins. So, hey, they get what they deserve.
Plus, you're an 11 seed. That's pretty good.
Especially when you look at the 10 people ahead of you. And seeded teams like, Virginia and Marshall is like a win away from going to the state of Washington to play out there. So it's weird. There's some good teams out there.
So we'll talk more about that. We've got reaction from the head coach himself, Chris Grassi. We'll hear from him in a few minutes. Also, we will hear from Mike Hamrick as well as the star himself, Pedro DiBella. I mean, come on. That was a pretty goal.
Yes.
I have got to admit that when
I saw the
Dolabella
replay.
put that in there, I thought that was a really pretty goal.
It was pretty goal, and then the keeper for Marshall, it's teams having trouble getting something by him. They're having trouble getting something by him. He pitches 2 shutouts in Virginia.
So we've got that. Of course, football.
And football's what they did on Friday.
You knew they were going to win that.
Well,
come on, you knew they were going to win that, Dave.
I learned something today. When I find something out, please tell me and tell you. Don't hold anything back.
Okay, that's another
the
story.
Obi thing, but then
yes, you have to tell me.
When the quarterback situation, I said it's going to be one of two things. Marshall will have no trouble with these guys and put them away, or La Tech would find a way to hang around. Well, after the first quarter, it looked like the first thing. After the second quarter on, Marshall put them away. Marshall put them away, and they got to go to Charlotte, which we'll talk about. And they have to go to UAB, La Tech, and they're down to the number 3 quarterback right now because the number 1 guy can't play till the following week.
La Tech might not even be coming to Huntington again.
I know. We may have seen them one and only.
That's all right with me. Southern Miss, I like seeing Southern Miss.
Well, we used to see them all the time. They make it to play them after all.
Bring it back. Put it on the schedule. I like it.
Yeah.
Football, you do not get the Offensive Player of the Week. No. Rice won. By the way, Rice won. So when
the game.
Yeah, they win. So their wide receiver, Brad Rosner, named Conference USA Offensive Player of the Week. He caught 8 passes for 130 yards, 3 touchdowns. OB had a great game. Rice won. Yes. Rice doesn't win very often.
And on the road, they wanted a place Marshall didn't. Middle. Believe it or not.
However, good news is Marshall Junior linebacker Tavante Beckett, team high 13 tackles, a pass breakup, a fumble return, and the win. You get Defensive Player of the Week award.
Not bad. Not bad for Mr. Beckett, the old Virginia boy doing his job. They really slammed the door on La Tech. After the first quarter, I was going like, there's a lot of 3-and-outs and punts, and then their punter drops a snap. Then you have a snap he's waiting for, sails over his head, and like a 50-yard change of possession and yardage. So something about the Memorial game, things happen weird, things happen straight up. So Marshall put them away, 31-10. Doc, as he said in his post game, Memorial game, we could play them all. We haven't lost one yet with him in charge.
Well, and the fact that they have made this a significant marker on the schedule. Before Doc, it was a game. It
was a game, but
it's now the 75 game.
Yeah,
and for good or for bad, that has really been something that people have circled. And I was a little disappointed with the crowd attendance. Just a little. I'm not.
A little bit.
I'm not calling anyone
Friday night,
out.
Whatever. And quick check of the stats from the week over the weekend. That was still the top draw of all the games. It was a light schedule, but they still the number 1 draw. Edged out, I think Southern missed by a few. The rest of them, Middle's playing in front of nobody with Rice. So it was disappointing in a way because you had Western for homecoming with what's at stake. La Tech, East versus West. You might see them again. Didn't break 20 either time, but go from there.
I think a lot of fans checked out after Cincinnati.
Yeah. He said no.
I really believe that. A lot of fans checked out, said thanks, but no thanks. We'll be back.
Yeah.
And you have an important game with Western Kentucky.
Nope.
You have an important game with Louisiana Tech.
Well, and they're not here.
Conference championship's going to be here if everything plays out the way.
Everything plays out, and again, CBS Sports Network is one I can even find, but it's still worth going to watch those guys because the walk out on the field was kind of great. I was with Isaiah Green together with on the walk, so that's 2-0 with him on the walk, and I said, dude, you're doing better than I am, or I ever did. But hey, and he said everything's fine, and we've had good prep, and we just go out and do our job, and they did, and they took care of it. And having Obi on, Isaiah will be the first one to admit, hey, welcome back, Obi. Welcome back, because they're Xavier and Armani didn't get that many touches the other night or looks. It was, where's number 7? Where's number 7?
Well, now Charlotte's going to have to game plan for him.
Yes.
One game, you know what he does. You
yes.
don't need to worry about how to game plan for him. It's put a body on him for
right.
one. But he's a little bit more of a veteran leader. We'll hear later this week from Isaiah Green about his leadership and some of the other players, and that's coming up later this week. So we've got an interesting schedule because tomorrow we got Marshall basketball, so no show at 5, but we go on the air at 5:30 with our pregame coverage, and then on Wednesday back to our normal schedule. Thursday we'll let you know because we got basketball.
Yes.
Basketball tips at 8.
That puts you in that little
we'll
do
see.
we or don't we?
We'll see how I feel if I want to do 2 shows.
Right.
Yeah, I might feel like it. We'll see. Okay. That one's totally on me.
And then Saturday we'll have the football.
Yeah, we'll have football, and that's going to be a little earlier than usual.
Yeah, we're finally playing in daylight.
I kind of like the evening sometimes.
Sometimes.
That
wasn't bad the other night.
I'm not looking forward to being over there at 9 a.m. the following week.
I know, that last game.
I'm not looking forward to that.
They serve breakfast.
No, 9 a.m., Yeah, that would be nice. Have some croissants over there.
Something.
Yeah, a breakfast skillet. I'd be completely okay with that. But we're getting ahead of everything.
Way ahead, because right now Mr. Grossi and his Marshall soccer guys are the buzz of the town.
The volleyball's getting there too.
Yes, Ari's done a great job, and they're getting ready for their tournament.
Guess what? Third week here. Third player of the week. Guess that. Third time.
Yes.
You've got Sierra DeBell named Conference USA Offensive Player of the Week again.
Which is a good standing for her and the team, because now it's tournament time. And they're going in with Mo. They got Mo on their side. Middle of the pack seed, you go in and, let it all go, because it's a one and done now. There's no coming back on the next one. It's a one and done.
So hopefully in a few weeks we're talking about where Marshall's playing in the NCAA tournament. We'll have another selection show, which Dave will skip probably.
Okay.
You just didn't want to show up because you knew I was going to hit you with a check.
Okay. Is that what it was?
Yeah, you knew better. You knew I was going to hit you with a check today.
Believe it or not, I was on my way in. I was across the street, and the phone rang, and they needed a sub on the lane, so I split, and I said, Paul can handle it. Because outside of Marshall, I'm really, it was nice. And then they get a bye. I got to the center and looked up the numbers, and I said, hey, NCAA strikes again. Win a game, get to play WVU.
Yeah, but they're coming to Huntington, so
right. You won't schedule them, we will.
If they get that far.
Yeah, because they got to beat Butler.
Yeah, Butler's not going to be a cakewalk for them.
No, and I'm sure Chris is familiar with both, but he's really familiar with Butler. And what got me was WVU winning the MAC tournament.
Yeah.
I didn't even know they were into MAC for soccer.
Oh, yeah.
That one really threw me.
Well, there's not a Big 12 soccer league for them. So the MAC offers soccer. Conference USA has soccer.
Yeah, because we took Kentucky.
Right.
No SEC. But I said, wait a minute, W won the MAC? What's going on here with Toledo? And the guys, nope, they're not. And they got a home. And they won the tournament.
Conference USA would welcome West Virginia with open arms.
Yeah, because, Conference USA got 3 teams in.
Open arms, my friend. 3
teams in a tournament, 3 out of 48.
Travel will be easy.
Yes.
Travel's easy in the MAC anyway. It's probably makes more sense for them travel-wise because, travel's easier.
Yeah, you're sitting up there and it's over to here, over to here, and over to here.
Hey, but you could go to Florida.
Yeah.
You could go to beautiful Virginia.
They got to go to Florida twice this year, soccer.
Why not?
Yes.
We'll talk about that when we continue.
As I said when they joined CUSA, would you rather go to New Orleans before they left or Ypsilanti? Don't answer that question, but I think I know how you would.
You sure you don't want me to answer that?
I'm sorry. Tua just had successful hip surgery. That's another thing. But right now, you're with it. I just happened to see the screen umpire.
All right.
Because a lot of people are crying, why was he even in the game? They're up 35-7.
I can't even answer that one.
I can't either, but we won't have to worry about it.
I'm not going to try to, yeah. I'm not going to try to answer that one.
That's Mr. Saban's problem.
All I know is when we come back from break, we'll hear a little bit about Marshall soccer. We'll hear from Chris Grassi. We'll hear from Mike Hamrick as well when we continue with today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Presented by Huntington Federal Savings Bank.
Marshall soccer seeded 11th, and they will play against the winner of West Virginia and Butler, and that will be coming up on Sunday, 2 o'clock. And if you are looking for tickets, sorry, good luck. Grandstand's already sold out from what I understand.
They'll probably be going very fast. It'll be worth going up there to watch.
I think there'll be some tickets still available, but it's going to be a hot ticket.
Yes.
Opportunity to host a NCAA tournament game is going to be huge, and today there was a watch party at Fat Patty's right across from Jones C. Edwards Stadium for the soccer team, which was really convenient because that's really next to the athletic department offices.
Exactly.
How convenient was that?
Exactly. They had a little ways to go, though, for Chris because they're down on 24th Street, but I'm sure he didn't care.
He didn't care.
He didn't care.
They bust over, I'm sure. They got the SUVs, and they took a quick little trip over. And great crowd today. It was the selection show, which was to find out where you were seated. You don't know anything. You don't know where you're going to be seated, who you're going to play until it's announced. And, of course, Marshall with the first-round bye. They will be in the second round. Third round will be November 30th or December 1st because if Marshall advances to the third round, they could play either, if there's an upset, Boston College, Yale, the winner will face off against Washington, and they could play the winner of that matchup. You're hoping that Washington loses as the 6th seed, so you can
be a little shorter trip to make.
It would help with the trip.
Yes.
Especially since you would be in a higher bracket, I would think at that point you'd be a seeded team.
Yep.
We'll see how all this – we're going to learn real quick how all this works.
Yeah. especially in a 48-team bracket. That's a little different. We're so used to that. The Sunday when the basketball comes out in the 64 with the extra 4, 68, it's a little different. But,
I like it.
But, hey, 11th seed, first time in, no complaints.
And
I'm sure Chris was very happy.
Yeah, and Conference USA getting 3 teams in. Now, if you look at all the teams that are seeded, Marshall out of Conference USA is one of the seeded teams.
Right.
I mean, that's huge
Yes,
there
is.
in itself, because you win not only the regular season championship, you win the conference tournament. Your seeded teams are Virginia, St. John's, UCF, SMU, Indiana, St. Mary's, Michigan, Wake Forest, Clemson, Penn State, Virginia Tech, Stanford, Washington, UC Davis, and Georgetown. Those are your seeded teams. Now, teams that are in the bracket include Kentucky. They did make it in. Charlotte made it in. They're going to be in the. They're going to play against Mercer for the right to take on Clemson. So they make it in.
Yeah.
You knew they would make it in.
Yes, they were going to get in, just no matter where.
And then Kentucky will. The schedule makers have a sense of humor again, because Kentucky will take on Loyola Chicago. They should win that, and then they will face off against Indiana.
They just played them the other day. I saw it on television.
So Kentucky, Loyola Chicago, and then Indiana, Kentucky. That will be your matchup there. But Marshall being the only seeded team out of Conference USA, out of 3 teams getting. FIU didn't get in.
No. I wonder how much they were to bubble. One of the last four in, last 4 out. They were close. If they'd have made one more win, maybe they got in and swapped with somebody else. But still 3 out of 48, not bad.
I didn't think Kentucky was not getting in. And, of course, you knew that Charlotte
was going to make it.
Yeah, you knew that. So Marshall was a definite, even if they didn't win the conference championship. However, you get the automatic bid, and seed's not guaranteed, but they did make the bracket with a seeded team. So they got the first round, and Sunday is where it's going to be. Crowd was excited to hear Marshall was the 11 seed. Then they were really excited, including the team, because they know Butler.
Yeah.
They know Butler. And West Virginia, that's a team that does not play Marshall in soccer.
Right.
So now if they win, they advance past Butler, which I don't know if they can do, honestly. They will face off against the Thundering Herd.
It's just thank you, NCAA.
So we had a chance to catch up with Chris after everything was done, the announcement was made and the celebration had begun, because, well, this is exciting. You get into the NCAA tournament. So we all had a chance to catch up with Chris Grossi, head coach of the Marshall soccer team. And here's the first question asked by Keith Morehouse, as this is really an exciting time for Marshall soccer.
Well, what a day for Marshall soccer. We'll make history and still a lot of work to do, right?
Yeah, we just got to prepare for Sunday now. We've got Butler, who we know very well and very good friends with their staff, and the winner of Butler and WVU. Obviously, beating WVU would be a very nice event here, and I think we're very capable of doing that. But just kind of. My heart's really rooting for Butler because of those guys over there. So whoever we play, I know these guys will give it their best, and I think we've got to be favourites going into that game.
How do you get over the euphoria of winning the conference championship today and now getting to work for Sunday?
Yeah, I think these guys have been champions all season. They've acted like champions, they've played like champions. So it's just another string in their bow to be real champions, to be crowned champions. So we'll just get back to work. We'll focus on the 2 teams that we've got to play, and these guys have been awesome in focusing on the task at hand, and so we'll just continue to do that.
Is that what the NCAA tournament's all about? Those storylines. You mentioned your ties with Butler, obviously the state's ties with WVU, and has stories like Pedro. I mean, it's sort of what gives you chills in the sport.
Yeah, I mean that's why we all do this. We're in sports to try and be the champions, but. To have these stories, have a guy like Pedro come through, sort of the adversities come through, and to prove himself on that stage is, it's really heartwarming. And I wish the guys at Butler all the best, and we hope to see them here again. Yeah, but it's exciting.
It's like the NCAA has a sense of humor, though.
Oh, yeah, they must have a sense of humor. I mean, we should play WVU every year. I mean, they should not be too scared to play us, which they are. And so they should come and play us every year because it's great for the state. We owe it to the state. It's the most played sport in the state with the youth. Let's just give the state in the state soccer a boost and play every year. And hopefully, this is kind of the beginning of that.
Is this what you envisioned, Chris, when you came here to be taking this team to the NCAA tournament for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, I thought we're trying to be national champions. I mean, that's the only way. Nobody kind of wants to kind of muddle along and be middle of the table. We want to be national champs. We're trying to do that. We're in sports. Sports is about, trying to be the best, and that's everything we sort of craft the program to be, and these guys think like champions and act like champions, and we feed them like champions, every day. So I think that's kind of what it's all about, and this is just a step. This was our minimum goal, was to make the NCAA tournament. So now we're there, and hopefully we've got to maintain it.
Is there anybody that's coming in more battle-tested than you all in the last few weeks? I mean, you all have gone, 5 or 6 in a row against ranked opponents?
Yeah, there's not many. Maybe Virginia. We've had so many top 25 opponents. I think we're 5-1 against top 25 guys. It's just a credit to the guys. They really have a backbone on the field, and so we can play nice soccer, but we can also battle, and we can win the hard way, which we showed last night. So I'll take our chances with anybody. I feel great playing anybody. So we're just looking forward to it now, getting back to work.
That's the head coach of the Marshall soccer team, Chris Grassi, and you heard him.
He wants to play WU regardless.
No, I think what he wants is, I want Butler, but I'll take WVU. They won't play us. Yeah. Let's play.
Right. He thinks, hey, we should play every year. Rotate back and forth, whatever. He made no bones about it. Play. But Butler, they know, he will not – he'll take either one. He's just glad to be here. And he mentioned this is just one step. We're not one of those happy to be here type moments. They got bigger things on their mind than just getting into the tournament. Now it's advancing in the tournament.
I love to know what the logic is, why West Virginia doesn't play Marshall. I mean, West Virginia's a MAC school, and Marshall's a Conference USA school. There's no Power 5 going on here in soccer, kids.
No, that Power 5 is not here.
That argument doesn't hold water here.
No.
So we'll find out, though. Of course, when you make a shot like that, you better back it up.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I will say. You make that shot, you better make it.
Yeah. Chris laid the law down. We'll play. Hey, let's play. Home or away, I don't care. We'll play. But for some reason up north hadn't happened. But maybe this might be these guys might talk a little bit in the next few days.
So now he's either you make that talk, you better walk that walk. Yeah. And so he's excited to play, though. Mike Hamrick, athletic director, Thundering Herd, he's been a man who has been on a mission to get things built.
Get things built and a success, and now he's got his football team going well, and he's got his men's soccer team in the tournament.
So I had a brief chance to catch up with him after.
How brief?
Well, you're going to hear it right now. This is how brief it was. I mean, it wasn't like a minute, but so I'm talking to him, and then we get him on tape, just kind of get a feeling from how he feels. And, of course, when he built this a few years ago, he basically said, look, here it is. I'm expecting bigger and better things here for Marshall Soccer. I've now put the tools out there for soccer to be able to go out and do what it needs to do. Here it is. He probably saw this vision. A lot of people maybe were hoping this would happen, but maybe didn't see it the way he did.
He was a believer.
He was a true believer, and here's me talking to Mike Hamrick after the selection show. A few years ago when you were putting together facilities, making this a dream, I know this is probably reality for you, but for a lot of people it is now reality.
Well, it is reality. We knew to get to where we wanted to be in soccer, we had to have a facility. Our facility that we've played on for a lot of years just wasn't adequate to get your program to where you needed to get it. So, we went out and built an $8 million soccer facility, and obviously today it's that investment has paid off.
Facilities have been one of your hallmarks, and with every new facility, it seems another success and another success. It feels like this is the best investment we've seen yet for Marshall.
Well, I'm not sure if it's the best investment facility-wise, but it's one of the best. But facilities are so important, and so many people have stepped up, Paul, to help us build these facilities and get to where we need to be. And baseball, maybe one day we'll be sitting in here after we get our baseball facility built, but soccer was critical, and then the other critical piece was bringing in Coach Grassi. Bobby Gray, who was a legend here in soccer, had retired, and we needed to go get a coach that we thought could take us to what we're here today. Top 16 seed in college soccer, a home match, and Coach Grassi with his credentials. And a lot of people don't realize, Coach Grassi was a graduate assistant here for Coach Gray several years ago, and to bring him back here has really paid off along with our facility. But facilities, I've said from day one, are so important.
Now the matchup itself, seems like the NCAA has a sense of humor when it comes to these schedules.
Well, I don't know that they have a sense of humor, but it is kind of funny. But I've been on these committees before, and they kind of like to put teams that are close together geographically, maybe for rivalries or for travel, cost or travel, how far you have to travel. So I think that had a lot to do with Marshall, WVU potential matchup. Obviously, WVU has to beat Baylor, but we'll welcome them to Huntington.
That's pretty interesting. We'll welcome them to Huntington.
Yeah, so West Virginia and Butler, the matchup, and the winner of West Virginia and Butler will face off against the Thundering Herd. That'll be on Sunday. The grandstand is sold out, standing room only. So if you want to go, you need to call the ticket office and figure out where you'll stand.
Yeah, because, I mean, that Kentucky game was 2,032, so we'll see what happens.
They keep this up, they might have to add seats to that facility.
Yeah.
I don't think they're not right away, but they might have to add a little bit.
And an update for the insider, I was talking to Chris about it and some things. He said that's one thing I talked to the boss about, maybe more seats, things like this. And the other thing was he mentioned, make sure this is not a one-shot deal. This has to be year after year after year after year. So, 2 years ago they had a losing record. Here they are 2 years later in the NCAA with a seed.
And that's a great turnaround.
Yes.
You go from bringing the program to where it was, which is okay. It was a good spot.
Yeah.
I mean, Coach Gray didn't have the luxury of having this new facility to recruit to.
Right.
And so Coach Gray, he holds the program together, gets it to the point where he can hand it off.
Yeah.
The facility upgrades, everything that goes with it. The soccer program was not in a bad place when he handed it off.
No, and then he hands off to a guy he knew.
And a guy who knows how to coach.
GA here, I've met him a few times, and he's very sharp. He knows how to evaluate talent. He's got some. He meshed the young guys, the old guys, the veterans together. And if I'm an opponent of Marshall, I don't want to be. They're playing very well right now. I mean, Charlotte has yet to score in 2 games. They went down there, had double overtime tie, and they went down there and went to overtime and didn't score again either. So Marshall only got 1, but they got the one that mattered.
And the guy got that goal for him, the guy himself, Pedro Dolabella, offensive MVP after his performance. He scored the golden goal, and we had a chance to catch up with him and talk to him about everything this means. NCAA Tournament hosting a second round game. I got to get used to that.
Yeah.
First round bye,
yes.
Second round game. And here's the golden goal getter himself, Pedro Dolabella, talking to us after the ceremony.
The euphoria of winning yesterday and now this, what a week for you guys, right?
Yeah, I mean, we worked really, really hard for this. Of course, we expected that as we worked harder and harder, the results would have come, and it actually did, and we're really, really proud of each other, proud of the whole community, always backing us up, and of course, the players, the coaching staff, we did a tremendous job throughout this year, and we're not done yet. This is just the beginning.
I was going to say, you just made history with this appearance, and now you got to wait for Butler or West Virginia, but then you also have to think about going back to work and taking care of business, right?
No, of course, and like you said, Butler or West Virginia, either one will be ready. Of course, we know the rivalry between Marshall and West Virginia, but we're just focusing on us right now, and we know that if we play our best, we focus this week, train hard, and see what's on the line. The boys, we all together will take care of the job.
Sort of like the NCAA has a sense of humor, though, with the way this bracket broke down.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's destiny or if it's, they actually put us to play, maybe a chance to play WVU, but no doubt it will be really exciting. Maybe a rematch from the basketball season. And, but like I said, we're going to be ready for either team. We know that our style of play, the way we play, and everything we've done so far, we are really confident going to this bracket and going to the first NCAA tournament in the history of the program.
How do you temper all this? You got into the tournament, but now you want to stay. So how do you temper all this excitement with getting down to work?
Yeah, yesterday we played a final, and we felt great, like Coach Grassi always tells us, it seems like in big games, our team seems to step up and play even better. So I think we are going to keep doing it, and we're ready for Sunday, and we can't wait for it to come.
He's ready. He's ready.
They're ready.
Yes, they're all ready. They understand, hey, we won Sunday. Guess what? Sunday's in the rearview mirror. Now we're thinking Butler, West Virginia. We go to work for the winner of that game.
Now we're rooting for Marshall to win, and we want Boston College to win.
Yeah.
I'm just picking Boston College or Yale.
Okay. That's a long way to the left coast if it does come to that.
Yeah, well,
Chris wouldn't mind it, but
he'll take it. I mean, they've been successful on the West Coast. It's not a thing for them.
Yeah, they went out there this year and won twice. So
it's not a thing for them. And then if they can advance after the second round and win in the third round, they would play potentially Georgetown, 15-1-3 record.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping that they would get, until I saw the seed, I'm like, oh, no, I'm good here. Louisville and South Florida are playing the 14 seed UC Davis, and I was kind of hoping until West Virginia popped up that Louisville would maybe be a team that you could play. I thought that would be a really nice matchup.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. I'd like that. And then we saw Marshall coming up, and then Butler, West Virginia. I was like, no, this is fine.
I'm sure when that came on the screen, everybody was going like, A, we got a seed, which is good, and B, we're going to possibly play West Virginia. We can't argue with that.
I think it was double excitement because it was potentially West Virginia, but also Butler.
Yeah, and like you have said so many times, it's one they won't schedule. Now the NCAA took it upon them to schedule it. And the AD goes, I'm not going to do it. No, you have to do it. If you want to stay in this tournament, you're playing.
I don't know if they're going that. I don't know if they're reading that too much into it, Dave.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think they're reading that. No. I just don't. I don't know why they don't play, but they're playing.
Either,
possibly.
They're playing now, possibly.
They're possibly playing. It'll be fun.
It will be.
And it'll be good for the state.
Yeah.
Youth,
that's what he said.
Youth soccer is huge.
I mean, they've got the big tournament coming back here again between the Shawnee Complex and out Barbersville. This is something these young guys can emulate and aspire to reach, and you don't have to go far to do it. Marshall's right there. Right there.
Imagine a yearly series. You could play one, alternate between Morgantown and Huntington.
Like
you could do that.
Hey, they're a MAC school. When it comes to soccer, they're a MAC school, not Big 12.
When we continue, we will take some of your phone calls, 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. More on the way. It's The Drive, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Never miss a moment of The Drive with Paul Swann. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Spotify.
What's wrong with you, Dave? Welcome back to the Monday, November 18th edition, The Drive on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Paul Swann and Dave Walsh with me here. You're in a good mood, I can tell.
Yes.
You're in a good mood.
Things are going well. Things are going well.
You're living your best life right now.
And we haven't even talked football yet, to speak of.
Well, we have talked football.
We'll a little bit, but
we have
got all week to do it.
We have talked real football, sir.
Yes.
That's what at least I would be told. We're talking European-style football, soccer.
Right.
Did you ever think the day would come where I would lead off with and keep going with soccer over football? Do you ever think that day would come? You know me.
Is that a bucket list item?
Not my bucket list. The times have changed,
yes.
Have they?
Yes.
They have changed.
Yes.
Right now there are probably countless people who have listened to me all their lives.
Going like, sorry, you got to run with it now.
They're like, wait a minute. You're like, we got you, Swan.
Yep.
We have finally got you.
Yep.
You are in 100% on board.
The NCAA has got you.
Well, that's good, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you build a facility like the type Marshall has built, and you want to be able to give these student athletes the opportunity to compete.
Yeah, they've got it.
And they've got that.
Between the facility and what's up to campus for their educational.
And
it's all here.
They're in a strong soccer conference.
It's all here, yeah.
I mean, it's not the ACC, but not many are.
You get 3 in. No, that's not bad at all, 3.
And RPI matters.
Yes.
And, again, that's something about this bracket I like. RPI matters. You got credit for what you did on the pitch.
Yeah.
And it mattered.
Exactly.
And you didn't see a situation where undeserving teams got in.
Yes, and I'll never forget talking to him earlier. Chris was mentioning when they went down to Florida for the second time, they got beat. I think it was 1-0 or something like that down there right before this run. He was going, that shows you what happens if you don't focus, if you don't think. Some things didn't work, and they got beat. FAU got them. And they said they learned from that one. And since that FAU game, it's been onward and upward. They got the message.
Of course, there is basketball. We haven't even touched on that.
Now, I haven't either.
Of course, that's tomorrow.
Right.
And we're going to spend a whole hour on that tomorrow talking about basketball. But Thundering Herd over the weekend had to deal with the dilemma of playing football and basketball at the same time. Football took care of their business, and you know what? Marshall basketball didn't look terrible against Notre Dame.
No.
It was a much better performance than what they turned in against Toledo.
Yeah, definitely on that one. we saw that Toledo game, and I still can't think of that first half. The coach going like, "You have nights like that where everything you threw up went in."
Tavion Kinsey, double-double. He had outstanding night, 16 points, 11 rebounds.
Yeah.
Marshall made runs. Marshall was not truly out of that game until late. And there was a point where you thought, okay, Notre Dame's just going to run away with this thing.
Notre Dame got one time by 17, you think, boom. But no, they late in the game, they're within 3. And it comes down to a foul shooting contest, and Notre Dame, I think, made all but one. You know, make it, you win, miss it, you let them hang around, and they made them.
You think Danny had a nice little stern talking to him after the Toledo game?
He got his message across. I was thinking of I'll never forget it. We're talking, he's going to walk in after Toledo and be like middle, going to read the riot act, and he was anything but.
He's not going to yell at us,
right,
media-wise.
Talking about his players and stuff, and he said, hey, and the biggest thing of all was he said, hey, we ran on John Elmore's motor for the last 3 years. That motor's not here. And I think the motor that they will run on won't be here until December 26th. The transfer becomes eligible. But until then, as he mentioned, hey, come back and see me in mid-February and we'll talk about it, because that's when you're getting down to crunch time.
I tell you, the motor they're running on now is Tavion Kinsey.
Yes.
That's the motor.
Yes.
And Jared West. I mean, he had 14 points, 5 of 12 from the field. He had 5 rebounds, and he played 40.
He doesn't come off the floor.
No, he doesn't come off the floor. Tavion played 40. Those guys were out there the entire time. And those are your motors right now.
Yes.
I think Tavion and Jared are probably the guys you lean on the most.
Yeah, and they're the guys that, until this year, I won't say secondary, but, you know, John was running the show. CJ was there, CJ Burks. They're not there. Now Tavion and Jared have to pick up the slack. Jared's done very well, but he's the first one after Toledo mentioned, I made 2 or 3 errors, and what we got burned for that I can't do. He knows.
We'll come back and wrap it up. We're here today at the Union Pub and Grill. Every Monday, you can take advantage of $1.50 bottles and $2 call shots every Monday here at the Union Pub and Grill. Final segment coming up here, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
You're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
We're wrapping up today's edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 today from the Union Pub and Grill. We hope you can join us every Monday from the Union Pub and Grill. Coming up, we have got later on this hour, statewide sports line. And then following that, it's going to be basketball with Dan D'Antoni. That'll be from Fat Patties. And then on Wednesday, we will have Doc Holliday's show because we got basketball on Tuesday and Thursday, and then football on Saturday.
He's on his normal schedule this week.
He is on his normal schedule this week. It's today is Monday, according to me and Doc Holliday.
Yeah.
And
there's such thing as a holiday calendar.
I want it. I wish somebody would buy me the Doc Holliday calendar for 2020. I mean, I want to be. I just because I'm going to turn that in.
You know what's ironic? I saw. I think Lucy Ann posted next year. 2020, November 14th falls on a Saturday. So it'll be interesting to see who comes on the schedule of that one. It falls on a Saturday.
Yeah. So will the ceremony, then the game take place?
What's going to do? Ceremony and then go straight to the game or what? I don't know.
Does Marshall,
it's interesting.
Does Marshall play on the road?
I don't know.
I'm
sure they're working
question.
on it to play at home.
Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes conferences just doesn't go that way.
Yeah. NCAA says, not so fast.
It would be okay to play that game on the road. Yeah. I think it'd be okay.
They've done it before. It doesn't matter. That game doesn't matter where they play.
Not since Doc Holliday made it the 75 game. I mean, Doc will go into your stadium and make it the 75 game. It's like, hey, we're playing at your place. You're hosting us, but it's the 75 game.
Yes. Tulsa found that out for a few years ago.
Yeah. So it's an important game. And of course, schedule, we'll find out what the schedule looks like completely. But right now, the
focus is Charlotte.
Yeah, the focus is sharp, actually. We're going to hear that tomorrow from some of the guys if we have time during our basketball preview. But the guys are understanding that, okay, it's still 1-0. We still have to go out and play, be 1-0.
Yeah.
And if we're 1-0 and then come out and be 1-0 again, we're going to play for a championship.
We have to play on the 7th of December.
And they took care of their business so far. They didn't let Middle Tennessee get them down. They've taken care of their business, and they just got a couple more to go. And it doesn't matter because I've looked at the tiebreakers here, and I know it's kind of a convoluted system, but here's the short of it all. You don't need a big spreadsheet to figure this out. Marshall wins out. Marshall will be in. They'll be the ones that will host. Right. I don't see anyone on the West having higher ranking. I don't see anyone on the West have a tiebreaker. If it's Louisiana Tech, Marshall's got the head-to-head tiebreaker right there.
Should be Marshall's to take. They know what they have to do.
We'll see what happens when they play the next couple weeks, and I think it's going to be Tech. I really do.
Yeah.
We'll see a more fully realized Tech team the next time that they come into Huntington. And that's going to do it for this edition. Once again, here at the Union Pub and Grill, every Monday you can take advantage of the $2 call shots, the $1.50 domestic bottles, and don't forget, we've got all the TVs set for you. We've got college basketball action, Monday night football action as well. So if you're looking for a place to come down tonight, watch the game, it is the Union Pub and Grill.
Exactly.
This is the place to be. For Gabriel Selvarts back in the studio, for Dave Walsh, I'm Paul Swann. This has been The Drive on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Good night, everyone.
WRBC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, your flagship home of the Marshall Thundering Herd and The Drive with Paul Swann, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.